Hello again, everybody. My name is Daniel Troutman with the SmashCake.com, and today we are going back to the basics. Today we're going to cover basic tips for a successful smash cake photography session. Now, I can honestly tell you that these tips are the very foundation of a successful smash cake session, and if you don't follow them, there's a better than average chance that your shoot is going to go completely off the rails. So, if you're a professional out there and you're consistently having trouble, circle back to these basics and you'll be just fine. And speaking of a successful session, if you have any questions, I'm very much available. I do answer the comments down below. I'm happy to answer your questions. So, whoever you are out there watching this video, if you have a question, hook me up. I promise I'll answer it. All right, with that being said, let's get started with the first tip today, which I personally believe is the most important tip. So the first tip I have for you is extremely basic, yet people forget it all the time, and I don't understand why, because it is the most important. And that is, of course, to always schedule your sessions around nap times. If you think about it, none of us like to really perform or jump through hoops when we are exhausted. Imagine coming back from work after a big meal and you're nice and tired and your boss wants you to perform at a maximum level. You're like, no, it's nap time. So what we have to realize is that babies are pint-sized humans and they feel just like we do, right? They don't want to perform when they're tired and cranky. So always try and schedule your sessions after that nap time when they are at their absolute best. That's when you want to schedule your session. So while we're on the subject of time and scheduling, tip number 2 is to always leave enough time. Okay? I would advise about a 2-hour window for your photo shoot, and you're not going to be shooting that entire 2-hour session. See, babies, they take their time. They need breaks. You need to stop and get a milk sippy. You need to stop and read a story, or maybe they just need to stop and have a hug. But, they need breaks. They are not professional models, and they are very fragile. You need to just basically take your time and don't rush these little individuals. They're humans. Don't rush them. We don't like to be rushed, and they know when they're being rushed, and they don't like it either. So go ahead and leave about a 2 to 3 hour window of time for every session, and just know that you're not going to shoot that whole 2 or 3 hour time. If you do, the baby is a total rock star, but chances are you're just going to be taking breaks after every 10 to 15 minutes. And that's okay if you have the time in your schedule to allow for it. So the next tip I have for you guys is about the lighting. And my suggestion is to keep it as simple as possible. Now, as simple as possible is usually outdoor lighting. It's the sunlight, and natural light. That's pretty simple. But if you are in a place, maybe indoors, and you can't rely on natural light, then you're going to have to light it with something. And when you do, you're going to want to keep that light as simple as possible. So I use a 7-foot octabox and one light for the majority of my smash cake sessions. And the reason I do that is because it is very simple. That 7-foot octabox is going to spread light all over the set. And no matter where that child turns, light will find their face. And that is really, really key because no matter where they move, I can click the shutter and create a sellable image. So what you're going to want to do is get rid of the notion that you're going to do some pinpoint dramatic lighting and the kid's going to hit their mark every time and it's going to be epic. You may get that shot, but you're only going to get one of them. And your goal is to sell an album and create as many images as possible. And to do that, you need to have some flexible lighting because your child is not a professional model. So just remember that, create yourself some flexible lighting and let the kid do what the kid does. Which leads me to the next tip. Now, while the child is doing what they do, it's your opportunity to do what you do, and that is to experiment with angles and to just have fun. The child's playing and you're playing around with different angles, you're taking different shots like close-up, of their toes, or you're shooting from above, down below, onto their eyes, and it's just a beautiful shot. If you're playing and they're playing, oftentimes that's where the most magical images come from. So give yourself time to play. Now, while you're playing around, don't forget, you want the close-up of those toes. You want the lips covered in frosting. You want the little tiny fingers just grabbing one of those little roses on top of the cake or whatever it is. You want those little tiny parts and pieces too. So go ahead and experiment with the angles. Also grab the parts and pieces, and the end result there is you're going to have a plethora of images for that album, and you're going to sell more product. This one's kind of a no-brainer, but I'm going to go ahead and put it on the list anyway. You're going to want to come up with a theme, whether it be a color, the child's favorite cartoon character, or, something that mom and dad do for a living, like, let's say, create a lawyer theme because mom's a lawyer, right? These are going to make the images mean more to the client. All right. If they get to help pick out the theme, or it's a theme that resonates with them as a family, well, the end result is they're going to buy more images in the sales room. Now, I hate to be that guy, but the fact of the matter is, guys, is that photography is a business. It's an art, but it's also a business, and it's how we put food on our tables. So you have to sometimes think about what you can do to maximize sales. And the number one thing that we do for Smash Cake Sessions is we pick out a theme that resonates with the family. Now, the best way to decide on a theme is to have a consultation with the parents prior to the session. Now, this leads me into a bonus tip. And that bonus tip is to always have a consultation with your moms and dads prior to the shoot. Okay, this is where you're going to pick out that theme that's going to resonate with them, that is going to end with more images being sold. But you're also going to get a chance to meet the child, meet the parents, manage expectations, and more importantly, talk pricing with the parents. And if they have any sort of issues with your pricing, you're going to learn about it right there in the consultation, not in the sales room. Okay, that is the worst place to find out that your parents have an objection to your price list. You want to find that out prior to, and if you don't fit their budget, then simply don't take the job. You'd be surprised at how many people skip this step, and it bites them right in the booty. So always have that consultation where you get to talk about pricing, and you get to meet the child, you get to meet the parents, and you get to create that theme that everybody's going to fall in love with. So think about a consultation. It's super important, and it has really raised my bottom line at my studio. All right, everybody. Well, I'm Daniel Troutman with SmashCake.com, and I want to thank you guys very much for joining me again here on YouTube. It is a pleasure to talk Smash Cake with you guys. And if you have any questions, of course, ask me. Or if you want to keep the party rolling, just look for another video around my head, and you can keep on learning about the world of Smash Cake photography. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in next week's video. Bye-bye.